Go, go, go. Hey guys, welcome to our channel, The Curiosity Cave. Today we're going to take a look at our garden. It's a spring tour. We have some stuff coming up. We have other stuff that has to be planted. We're just going to do a tour, and then throughout the summer we're going to bring you updates on segments on how things are growing. So come on, join with us. This is our nursery area. Right now we have this tree right here. We're not exactly sure what it is. It could be an apple tree, and Kaiser's trying to help us out. And so we're going to nurture it along, see what it's going to be. We have some black bamboo. We have an evergreen clematis right here in bloom. This gives off a beautiful smell. And something that we have really enjoyed watching is this thing right here. It's a banana plant, and every winter it dies down, and then throughout the spring and summer it'll grow 12 to 14 feet tall. And right now it's a nub, but it's going to have nice big broad leaves that are like this big. So I've already started over here. This is our raspberry plant and our berry section, and I've taken out the dead canes. You take out last year's fruited growth, and then you leave this year's fruited growth, and you can see the cycle already. There's next year's growth right there. That'll be fruiting next year. Right now, this year, it's just going to be growing green. If we move on down, we have a thornless blackberry right here. Pretty vigorous. It's like a blackberry tree. This thing is so sweet. It tastes like wine on a vine, and super good. And then this is from the Olympic Peninsula. It's called an Olympic berry. And those are nice and long and black and super good. We have a blueberry tree. In fact, we have 4 of them. And one of the design features is that this particular one right here blooms first and sets off berries first. And then this one, and finally this one. Each of these are a bloom, and they're going to be covered with berries this year. So it looks like a great crop. Well, one more thing in the nursery here. This is a rhubarb plant, and every year it dies back, and about this time of the year it begins to grow, and my wife makes amazing rhubarb pie, and we have all sorts of things in this area. We're growing a dog.
Kaiser.
Hi, guys.
Kaiser, you joining us?
This is a lilac start. It's a purple lilac. You can tell that it's a purple lilac by the blush of purple on the leaves, and looks like this will have some flowers. I think that's for the selling bin, and we're going to sell that to whoever wants to on Craigslist. Last year we tried for the first time arugula, and this is the second year of arugula, and it's going to seed. We let a few plants go to seed. Why? Well, it's because we get free seeds, and we have the whole cycle of this plant, and we've done this with a number of vegetables, and I'll show you, and they just keep reseeding, and we keep eating them and enjoying the benefits. In this area of the garden, we'll probably take out a lot of what's in here. We've had some potatoes in here, and so we'll replant potatoes in there. Over here, this is parsley. That comes up every year, so that's a wonderful plant. We use it a lot in our cooking. And this is really nice to have. This is lavender, beautiful flowers. You can make a variety of products from it. You can get oil from it. We don't, but we bring it inside, put it in the closet, keeps the bugs out, and it's a beautiful color. We have some red garlic, and that will come up every year. Mint, all kinds of mint, and it's nice to have mint year-round. We use it in tea, we use it in smoothies, and I can't wait. It's really good, and that is perennial. It comes up over and over. We keep the mint typically in a confined area like this, because mint can spread, and once it spreads, it's hard to keep it contained, and it just goes all over. So a note to self right here. More garlic. This is where we usually grow our beans, and we've taken out the poles, and we'll plant that probably when it gets a little warmer, late April, maybe 1st of May. We have some chives, and chives will come up every year, and we have a number of places where we grow chives. Super handy, super good for baked potatoes and steaks, and well, maybe tofu for me, but always great to have something in the garden that you can add to your meals. So here's the germination process for snow peas. We place these seeds in a shallow pan of water, and they'll germinate in a few days. After that, we place them in these peat packets. We keep everything moist, and a few days later, they'll grow an inch or 2 or even 3 inches. We get our seeds from Fred Meyer's, snap peas, Ed Hume. Along this edge, we typically grow snow peas, and we started these peas inside a number of weeks ago. We planted them, and probably in a month or so, we'll have snow peas. Snow peas are great in stir fry. They're great just eating snacks whole. And we use these metal fencing for the trellis for these peas. They grow up, and it makes a nice separation for, like say, the dogs or the kids to stay out of the garden. And it'll be a green fence here in a couple weeks. So we grow usually 2 different varieties of string beans or pole beans. One is what you would consider the kind that you get from the store, the can. Those are called Blue Lake, and they actually come from the south, and they're not quite as proficient up here in the north. I grow what's called an ornamental bean, but it's also edible, and it's called a scarlet runner. And a scarlet runner will actually overwinter, at least its roots. And the roots look like small tubers, and if we leave them in, they will regrow. And so it's kind of a fascinating plant. And over here we have kale, and this is super good stuff. Great in terms of health, and really a great product for the garden because it overwinters. We planted this at the end of the summer, early fall last year. We have kale coming up from seed. So this is one of those plants that we let go to seed, and it comes up over and over. Here's strawberry plants, and they will be producing here in another month or so. Okay, we also have some herbs and some surprises, and I'll show you the herbs first. So here is oregano, and super handy. It overwinters, comes back every year, and then sends up these, which is last year's, and they'll be full of good oregano as well as some flowers. Hi, guys. Right here is something we started last year. This is horseradish, and it's a root, and that's where you harvest it, you use this to spice things up. We threw in a celery bottom, and it started to grow, and so we're going to see how that works this year. Some celery, and boy, things are starting to happen, and we haven't even planted yet. So this is a great thing about the garden. We have more arugula that is going to seed, more kale. This is a little bit younger, and back here, another good plant for this area is beets, and beets will overwinter. These have all overwintered, so we can eat them throughout the winter, and we're gonna pick those. And as you can see, this is lots of good stuff right there. You can eat the roots, you can eat the tops, you can stir fry, you can use this in salad. It's just a wonderful vegetable. Look at that. And then one of a kind of the showpiece of our garden is the artichoke. This is Daniel's little pride and joy. And artichoke actually comes from a thistle plant. And so it has some of the characteristics without the thistles, but it has a bright purple flower once it grows up and then actually goes to seed. But we'll have artichokes that are this big in the summertime, and it's super tasty. I think we have 4 or 5 plants, and every year they kind of make babies, and then they mature. And so we're super excited about all of that. It's gonna be fun. So all around our yard, we have plants with either flowers or vegetables, and this is an herb pot. And in this herb pot, we have thyme, which is, again, overwintering, and you can still use it. Plant looks a little scraggly, but guess what? It's always good for thyme. And this is sage, and you think of sage for turkey dressing, and but you can use that, and again, it's super hardy. And one of the great things about herbs are they're pretty drought tolerant, and so they don't require a lot of muss and fuss. And we have a couple planters full of these herbs, and again, it's great to go just right outside the door, pick some herbs, add them to your dishes, and brighten everything up. It's a good deal. We're gonna go head over to the far side of the yard where we grow tomatoes and peppers, and we'll see what's there. Well, we're in the corner of our yard where it is the warmest, and this is where we grow our warm weather crops like tomatoes, peppers, and right here we have some rosemary, and it's an old plant, and it's growing right over our pond, and you can see how old and gnarly it is. But rosemary overwinters. It's a great herb. Check out some of the fish. We have wire mesh over the pond because birds and raccoons love to eat and take snacks. So here's you have to have vision for this, but this is where the tomatoes, peppers are going to be growing, and they get some warmth with this fence right here. The sun comes from the south, and it's behind me, and we have grapes growing over it, and it's a beautiful framework visually, but it's also very productive. We'll have a couple 100 pounds of grapes, and those vines are probably 15-20 years of age, and we'll use these. These are our tomato cages, and every place we'll plant tomatoes, we'll put a cage, and this will support the tomatoes well. We'll put this in the ground probably in another month, and towards the middle to end of the summer, we'll have some tomatoes. It'll be good. This apple was the star of an earlier broadcast. It's our king apple, and you know, it's still spring. You get some of these buds that are beginning to swell, and that will be the start of an apple. So we'll watch that progress. And I showed you the grapes before on that trellis. Well, this is kind of where they start. We have 2 plants. You can see they're super gnarly, super old, but they're great producers. And these haven't really started budded yet, but you can see inside that they're beginning to, let's take a look at this. Now they're beginning to swell and green up, and buds all along. Just a little baby. Grapes in a few months. We have another raspberry patch on the opposite side of the house, and this is a different kind of raspberry. And all together, we probably harvest maybe 20-25 pounds of raspberries or berries throughout our season. We come out here every other day and either pick some just fresh to eat, or if there's a lot, then we bag them up and we freeze them. And so you can see that these are beginning to sprout, and each of these vines will be loaded with berries this coming year. At the same time, right below it, we have typically where we have a pumpkin patch. And it's always nice to have pumpkins. We use them in the fall for decorations, and sometimes even for eating. And so the kids love them, we love them, and it's kind of a happy plant. And a lot of vision because it's months and months and months in advance. And so, you know, sprinkled in, we have, these are just some flowers. And we even have a jasmine plant, which overwinters in most of our winter, if it's not too cold. And that'll be a beautiful smelling plant here in just a month or so. And I'm going to show you how we do compost. So what do we do with all the recyclable material? Well, when we're eating, we have scraps, we have banana peels and those kind of things. We throw them maybe directly into the garden. Once the garden is planted during the spring and summer times, then we throw all of our refuge, all of our composted material into these barrels. And these barrels, as you can see, contain all kinds of vegetable scraps. And this barrel will heat up as we get more sun. And once it heats up, then it'll take all of that material and turn it into dirt. So we use leaves and small branches, stick it in here. After a few months, we'll be able to use that for our garden material. So we put it in the vegetables and in the flower beds. And so we have 3 or 4 barrels here, and sometimes we lay them down on edge and roll them around to keep that material aerated. And so it works really well. We really appreciate you joining us today. This is going to be a series where we're going to be staging throughout the spring and summertime and even into the fall on our garden. So, you know, we don't have a huge yard, but we're trying to show you what you can grow, what is possible, and it's up to you to say, this is what I want to do, and then you begin to figure it out. We started 30 plus years ago, and I knew nothing. Got a few herbs from a friend, started there, and we just began to grow. Some things we grew and we didn't like, or they didn't do well. And so we tossed them. We started something new. And so you can't go wrong. The only thing you can do wrong is just don't do anything. So whether you have a pot in your entryway, or whether you have a full-size garden, get out there, enjoy life. God made things to grow, so let's get involved with that. Thanks for joining the Curiosity Cave.